attention. What a squirrel. He's got the country in a whirl. What's his name?
Shh, secret squirrel.
He's got tricks up his sleeve. Most bad guys won't believe. A bulletproof coat, a cannon hat, machine gun game with a rat-tat-tat-tat. 5, 4, and 5, his disguise takes him many places. He's a squirrel of many faces. Who's that?
Ugh.
Who's that?
Bhutan.
Who's that?
Hey!
Secret squirrel.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. This is online predominantly fastener-related talk radio. It's the podcast where we continuously ask the question, what turns and what burns?
Wow, sounds like the start of one of the sitcoms in the afternoon. Oh, that's How the World Turns, sorry, yeah.
How would you know that, Brian?
Oh, I've been sitting watching Days of Our Lives for years, okay?
I think you're thinking about how the screw turns.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Eric Dudas and Brian Musker here with you once again. Thank you so much for joining us. You doing all right, Brian?
I am, actually, yes. In fact, I'm just working through some listings here. I guess I'm always doing that.
The never-ending battle of FCH.
Right. Actually, we've just introduced a totally new classification, and some of it's based on some comments from Carmen Vertullo, and so we've split out and created a new category. It's not strictly fasteners; it's raw materials. But we actually have a lot of members have loaded up raw materials, be it round bar or hex bar or key stock and stuff like that. So over the weekend, I split them out, and I'm still working on it as we speak.
Very cool. Well, that's the day-to-day reality on this fastener soap opera.
Yeah, right.
And we've got much, much more to talk to you about today on today's episode of the podcast, so let's get right to it. This is episode 107 of the podcast. We're publishing this time on July 21st, 2016. On this episode, the feature segment is a discussion with Kelly Cole. He of Hayes Bolt out there in San Diego, California. He's also with the NFDA. We'll talk about subjects related to both. We're going to kick off the podcast this time with a meandering conversation with Rick Rudolph. Lots of you know Rick. He's a manufacturer's rep out there in the Northeast. It was lots of fun to have him on the podcast. I'm sure you'll enjoy the conversation.
Yeah.
As always, Mike McNulty will have all of the fastener industry headlines on the Fastener News Report, this time joined by Charles Redding of BB&T Capital Markets. They'll run down the still flourishing FDI numbers. It was very nice to see that again in June. We'll compare that to the reality of what everybody's seeing, and Carmen Vertullo will be presenting the Fastener Training Minute once again. So it's another full episode, Bri.
Right.
And we've got a full slate of sponsors, which is something you know all about.
Oh, I do. And I'm very glad we have them. And we love talking to them whenever we meet them at the fastener shows. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast and the Lindstrom family of companies, including Titan Fasteners. Stelfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And the Lindstrom family of companies, including Titan Fasteners, Lindstrom, by any measure. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, Cardinal Fasteners, Fastenal, InSequel Software, Endy Industries, the Worth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. So thanks for your support and patience and the great association we have with all you companies. So we hope it continues, okay?
Indeed we do. And you can get with us anytime to give us your thoughts, comments, feedback, questions. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. You can also communicate with us out there on Twitter. The handle's Fully Threaded. Hey, before we cut out for a quick break, Bri, want to remind all of our listeners that the FTR FTI Scholarship Program is in effect once again. We talked about this last episode, and if you need details, we have made a press release public. You can get out there to fastenersclearinghouse.com, go to the news page, and you can download the details of that there. But if you're looking to get your Certified Fastener Specialist certification, it's a great thing to do. Even if you don't win the grand prize, you'll be able to get a webcast from the FTI, and those are very worth the time.
Oh, yeah, look, there's no losers in this contest, okay? Sounds like at the sideshow. Every player winner.
Taking a page out of the P.T. Barnum playbook, huh?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, this is when that used to come through New Zealand when I was a kid, okay?
Well, there's no funny business with this contest, and we hope to see a lot of great entries. We already did get several based on last episode's announcement of this, so keep them coming, and we appreciate it. Look forward to seeing who's the lucky winner this time, or I should say the worthy winner.
Yeah, right.
Well, there's lots of mixed messages out there in the fastener industry these days, and we're going to address them as we unfold the program, and we'll be doing that right after a couple of messages from our great sponsors. Is Fully Threaded.
These guys aren't screwing around much. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio, Internet Talk Radio for the fastener industry.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
What makes Lindstrom a leading specialty fastener master distributor? For years, you've known Lindstrom as the premier name in metric fasteners, with an expanded product line that now includes the largest assortment of fasteners and components of any master distributor. Today, Lindstrom means much more than metric. At Lindstrom, we're focused on a single goal: to bring our distributors the perfect combination of convenience, flexibility, value, and choice, delivered by the most experienced sales team in the industry. For inch or metric fasteners, standard or special, in any finish, all packed to your requirements, turn to Lindstrom, where we have what you need and deliver it the way you want. To learn more about Lindstrom and our expanded brand of value-added products and services, visit LindstromFastener.com or call a sales representative at 1-800-572-5550. Lindstrom, by any measure.
Harry, now that you use InSequel software, how do you like it?
InSequel has delivered. They truly are written for fastener distributors. It's affordable and their support staff is great.
We found InSequel's support staff has depth. They know our industry, and they certainly know their software. I see they've helped you pronounce InSequel.
Yes, but what does InSequel mean? Is it written in SQL? Is the data stored in SQL? Are they located in SQL?
InSequel uses the industry standard Microsoft SQL database, which is why it's so powerful and easy to use.
Oh, the database is stored in SQL. I don't even know where that is. I hear it's a nice place.
Harry, InSQL uses a SQL database because it's current technology and your data is completely accessible. No more expensive custom reports.
Is that why InSQL is so easy to use? Where is SQL on the map?
One of their many support members will help you answer that. Go to their website, www.inxsql.com, or call toll-free 877-446-9775.
Hey, this is Clayton Allen from Buckeye Fasteners in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Yes, it's another edition of the online Fastener Party Bungalow.
Party wagon, okay.
Why do you say that?
We're assuming it's moving somewhere.
We're always going somewhere. I tell you, by the time that this podcast airs, the big convention in Cleveland, the RNC, is going to be history. And we're already getting some headlines out of that. And geez, maybe by the time you're listening to this, folks, even the DNC will be over, but it's that time of year. It's kind of exciting and off-putting at the same time. You know what I mean, Bri?
Right. I won't be anywhere here either. I'll be way down in the southern hemisphere.
That's right. We're going to scramble to get you recorded before you head off to Australia and New Zealand, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're going to have a great time hooking up with all your old connections and your family and so forth. Well, there's another guy that, if you don't know him, you should. He's a longtime member of the fastener industry, way up serving the northeast part of the industry. And his name is Rick Rudolph. He's with Rick Rudolph Associates. You out there, Rick?
I am.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. We've been wanting to get you on for a while.
Well, it's a pleasure being with you folks, and I enjoy your shows, and I enjoy your company in person as well.
Well, you don't need to get too carried away, okay? I mean,
okay.
Let's be realistic here.
No, but it's a good point because you're serving kind of far off and distant for a lot of folks part of the industry. You're based out of Massachusetts, and I know you were telling me earlier you were seeing some customers up in, New Hampshire, and yet, having said all that, you do make it out to a lot of the events that are dispersed throughout the country, including the NCFA Distributor Social, where we see you all the time. You're out there in Vegas. You hit the Midwest Fastener Association shows, so you definitely have a footprint out there, working hard for your principals.
Well, I believe in supporting all the other associations, and they're all good groups. And I have principals located around the country, so I have a chance to meet with them when I'm at these different functions around the country.
I think I met you in one of the All-American Fastener shows, actually, didn't I?
Yeah, that was a long day. I got up at 3 a.m.
I know.
Caught a flight, went to the show, got back on the flight, wound up at Midway with some kind of bad weather. Hard to believe bad weather in Midway, but and got back home at 4 a.m. So, yeah, it was a very long day.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that one. So,
just another day in the life of a hard-working rep, though, isn't it?
Pretty much so. Yeah, yesterday was a 400-mile day. So.
Yeah, you were telling me here it is, the middle of July. You hit a hailstorm.
Yeah, they're about the size of quarters up there. I was up in northern New Hampshire yesterday, and the front came through, and 65-mile-an-hour winds. And, when you get that emergency thing on the radio, that's usually, this is a test of the broadcasting system. This was not a test. It was saying, seek shelter.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty sobering stuff, isn't it?
Well, it is. When you're that far away from home and it started off at 95 degrees and then suddenly you've got hail coming at you and trees bouncing all over, it does get a little, just makes being a rep very exciting.
Yeah, right. I think I could retire and just sit home and read a book. That would be sort of safer.
It would be safer, but I wouldn't get to visit with all of my friends.
Right.
And as I say, and I know it bores some people, but I've got what I think is the best job in the world. I go around and I travel and visit with my old friends, and some of them are retired, and I'm talking to my old friends' children and grandchildren that are in the business now.
Let's just clarify, what exactly is your territory these days, Rick?
My son Morgan and I cover the 6 New England states of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont.
And I know you've been following the FDI at some level. What are you seeing out there relative to the FDI and just in general? I mean, let's take your temperature. What's the business look like out there?
Well, there's no consistency. The larger distributors seem to be having more of a problem than the smaller distributors. The smaller ones seem to be a lot better. The very large, the mega distributors that we have all seem to be saying they've seen quite a bit of a slowdown. Some of it they attribute to the economic climate, which goes hand in hand with the political climate that's out there. And as you alluded to, that there's a lot of strange stuff going on out there, and no one really has a real strong feeling, positive or negative. It just seems though that people are waiting to see what happens. And during the many years that I've been in the fastener industry, I've seen that every time there is an election year coming up, that people just seem to be concerned and they tend to draw in. I was listening to someone earlier today talking about the stock markets and that type of thing, and it seems so that some people are cashing out and just not taking a lot of big chances out there. The other thing that I see is, and I think it's happening everywhere, there seems to be a lot of consolidations and acquisitions occurring around. There seem to be some people who have not planned well in advance and not sure how they're going to make their exit out of the industry and to retire. So I don't think that's just what's happening here in New England. I think it's a lot of areas. When you look at Mr. McNulty's magazine and the other magazines, you see quite a bit of consolidation. One company up here has been bought twice in a period of a year, each time by a bigger fish.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe it's not the difference. It's affecting bigger and smaller companies differently. Maybe just the smaller companies have got leaner and now they're all much better able to handle the same pretty poor market.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, for what I see, I see that activity on our site by drill downs, which we measure pretty carefully, have done for 5 or 6 years now, month by month. And, as we've noted before, the drill downs are a pretty good indicator of activity in the industry.
Right.
And it is definitely lower. It's not horrific such that the bottom's dropped out. It's just that it's at a lower level than it has been. And I don't see it, there's no stunning activity going on even now. It's not as bad as it has been, I might say, but it's just not great.
Right. The other thing that happens, at least in this area, where it didn't happen this past winter, but the winter before, we had 180 inches of snow, and I alluded to the fact that it seemed to be like you were jogging in molasses, trying to get around making sales calls. And actually, I think it was July 15th of 2015 is when the last snow farm in Boston finally melted completely.
Wow. That's global warming for you.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It is, yep.
So you were actually thinking of moving to Chicago so you could get warm in the winter.
Cleveland. Cleveland's a lovely place.
Okay.
Well, your part of the world is something that we haven't really, I guess, done enough to cover on the podcast, really. So this is a great opportunity, I guess, to get an insight into that. So all these things that you're sharing are really wonderful. I know you know a lot about the industry in general, but if there's something that defines in your mind that part of the world, what your customers are involved in. How would you characterize that, Rick?
Well, we have communications, the industry up here. We talk to people all the time and say, well, for the off-road trucking and for the farm implementation manufacturers in the area, and I go, well, we don't have them up here. We tend to have computer companies, medical equipment. We have, communications. The people such as Bose and that, the data storage people, and there are a lot of people who make ovens and commercial ovens, that is, and that type of thing. And oil and gas really is non-existent up here. So, we don't feel the pain of the people down in Texas or out in Colorado, in that area, when the oil and gas tanks. But and we don't have any fracking up here as well. And a lot of people don't want the pipelines to go through their communities. They prefer to go into the next town over.
Right, someone else's backyard.
Someone else's.
Yeah.
Right.
You do have a couple of shipyards up there, though, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We have Bath Iron Works, which is still quite active.
Yep.
We also have the electric boat down in Groton,
right,
for these submarines and that type of thing.
Yep.
Sikorsky has been sold, the helicopter company, and they're not as big as they once were.
So do you ever sneak into Bath to see if you can, or Bath Iron Works, just drive past to see if you can see the new class of destroyer they're building there?
Actually, I get them, and my wife's cousin is the compliance officer at Bath Iron Works. So I get videos of them when they go out on their training, their shakedown cruises.
Are you supposed to be saying that, Rick?
I don't know. Wait a second, there's a drone coming in on me quickly.
Right. You might see some of them down in Portland and Maine too, I think.
Yeah. At one time there was a lot of things happening in Maine, and right now Bath is one of the strong areas. Crosby used to be up there with the drop forge.
Yep.
And most of where that factory was is fancy brass and ferns and eating establishments and drinking establishments, and they do have a very nice high-speed cruiser terminal that takes you out to Nova Scotia. But that's part of the year. The rest of the year, Maine has had some problems. Connecticut has had some problems where a lot of companies have left there because of the taxes and that type of thing. Massachusetts at one time was huge in valves. Some of that is coming back, though, and I'm glad to see that happening. But there are a lot of places areas that you go into in New England where when someone's giving you directions, because those GPSs don't always work when you're out in the middle of the sticks. And they say, you go down there where the such and such plant used to be, and then you take a right and you go up where the other factory used to be. And some people have gone as far as to say, the last person out of New England's supposed to shut off the lights.
They used to say that about New Zealand too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, you've been at this for a long time, Rick. How long has it been?
44 years.
Wow.
So you've seen a lot of things change, and nevertheless, you're still making a good go of it. During that time, you've had a lot of involvement with the local association. Isn't that true?
Yes. Yeah, I've been holding one office or another with the New England Fastener Distributors Association from just about the time of its inception. And I've met a lot of really nice people during that period of time. And as I say, sometimes I'm dealing with people's sons and their grandsons, the people who were my customers years ago.
So we've covered a lot of association news over the years on the podcast, and I guess we've been biased towards the ones that we interact with more. And I said it a few minutes ago, but your part of the world is something that we really haven't spent a lot of time on, not for any conscious reason. So why don't you get us acquainted with what the New England Fastener Distributor Association is all about? I mean, give us a thumbnail. How would you say the character of that group is? I mean, how big is it? What do you do?
We have, I believe it's 140 different companies that are members now. We just had a spring golf outing, which is a fundraiser for a scholarship. We award a number of scholarships every year to deserving members of the fastener industry, the children of employees of fastener companies, manufacturers, and distributors. And we also give out scholarships to people who are trying to improve, who are already employees of fastener companies and want to better themselves and are going back to school, and we award scholarships to those people as well.
Okay, that's good.
We also try to promote information to members of the association, but we've had friend associates a number of times speak to our membership. We've had other regional economic aficionados give speeches at dinner meetings, and we also have had a number of manufacturers talking about cold heading, hot heading, stampings, etc. And we do have some fastener manufacturing that is still going on here in New England, and we do plant visitations so that the distributors can see actually how the products they've been selling all their lives or for the last few years, if they're new to the industry, exactly how they are made.
Right.
Yeah, that's always one of my favorite parts of being parts of these groups is heading out there and seeing the applications and the manufacturer. Although I have to say I hate the word visitations, Rick. I don't know why.
It sounds sort of rather fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's morbid.
Yeah. 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. However, I think most of them are 4 to 8 now for the visitations. And they say it's much better to be seen than to be viewed.
Oh,
that's true.
It is, yes.
Well, let's back up a moment. You mentioned your son Morgan, and I want to set this up because there's a good story behind it. Your son is Morgan, and this is going back a couple of years at least, and we were, I guess, having drinks after or before the NCFA Distributor Social at that time, and you'd brought your son Morgan along with you. Now, you can tell the rest of the story probably better than I can, but he had a pretty good life, and there was a good reason why he has the moniker Captain Morgan, as you can fill us in. But you brought him into this business, and you did it for a reason, and you did it in a very, I don't know, clever way. What was that story?
Okay. It was a dark and stormy night. No. That's another story.
Good start, though.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, my son Morgan, actually, he started out in the hospitality industry, was managing a number of different eating and drinking establishments in the Quincy Market Faneuil Hall Historic District in Boston. And he was recruited by the Red Sox partners to manage the 406 Club at Fenway Park, which was quite an honor because it was, it was this beautiful little club that was behind plexiglass, behind home plate, and they used to serve Chateaubriand and fine wines, etc. And I was actually able to, on occasion, get to sit in this club. It's called the 406 Club because it was Ted Williams' lifetime batting average. Okay. And actually, my other son is a high school football coach, and I was at his football game, and my son Morgan called me and said, "Dad, where are you?" And I told him where I was. He said, "Can you get in here?" He said, "Jimmy Buffett's plane is fogged in on Martha's Vineyard, and would you like his box for the day?" I said, "Yeah, I can arrange it." And it was a playoff game between the Red Sox and the Yankees. which is always an interesting game. And it turned out to be the one where Pedro Martinez and Don Zimmer had a push-down fight, if you want to call it a fight. And it's something that was quite a thrilling day for me to be in there. But he wanted to make a change, and his days were very long. He was working 7 days a week because they have, as with most of these stadiums, they have team building, weddings, bar mitzvahs, christenings, whatever, corporate events. They're 365 days a year, and if he could be called, and if it was a doubleheader, he'd be gone for a long time. I'm stretching this thing out, but I'll come in for a landing. So one day he said to me, he said, "Dad, I'm a little bit tired of this because it's just really exhausting." And I said, "Well, you're living at home with me."
In the basement?
No. It's in my house. Yes. And I said, they say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So I said, "What do you love doing?" And he says, "Well, I loved captaining your boat." I had a 30-foot cabin cruiser at the time, and I said, "Well, that's fine, but I can't afford to pay you to do that." But there are people who will pay you to captain their boats. As a matter of fact, there's a fellow down the street that I grew up with and went to school with he became a sea captain, and he spends 6 months a year in Florida, 6 months a year in Boston. And if you want, we can go down and set up a meeting with him because I know that he's home right now. So we did. He explained to my son Morgan what he had to do to take the courses and to how to go ahead and build up his hours and to become a full-blown sea captain, which he did and started working for Sea Tows, the AAA of the ocean, and Boat US and other companies that provide those services to boaters. And he wound up spending 6 months a year working out of the Boston area, and then 6 months a year in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands.
Wow!
And it was a great gig. It was a great gig because Dad could go down and stay with him down there. And then he became one of the fellows who did luxury charters, 50, 55 up to 150 foot long boats, complete with chefs and maitre d's on board.
Yeah, but at some point though, this became a burden, and I think it probably became a marital strain because I know that his wife was working hard in Boston during those cold winters, and that became kind of unmanageable, right? So at a certain point, he had to make another change.
Yes, he did. His wife is a nurse practitioner, and she'd work 3 weeks of 12-hour shifts, and the fourth week of the month she'd go to St. Thomas. Then she was so successful that she became department head, and she didn't have the luxury of taking the time off to go down and spend time with Morgan and St. Thomas. And she ruined it actually for me as well as Morgan, because I used to go down and stay with him, as I said. So now he's stuck in New England. And I, at the time, this was going back, as you say, when we had the meeting, the Fastener Industry Coalition meeting that also coincided with the North Coast dinner meeting where they had people talking about the galvanic reactions and in the hydrogen brittlement on the Bay Bridge.
I remember it well.
Yes, right over there at the Holiday Inn off of Rockside in Independence, Ohio. So I had to go out there. 2 weeks prior to this, I'd been at the Las Vegas show. I had to have a shoulder replacement that was coming up in December, and the pain of being on that flight was just unbearable. So I decided that if I'm going to attend the Fastener Industry Coalition meeting and the North Coast Fastener meeting, I'm going to drive out there. And my son Morgan said, "Dad, you can't be doing all that driving out there the way your shoulder is." And I said, "Why, you want to come with me?" He said, "Sure, I'll go out with you." So I kept thinking about this, and I thought it would be ideal if Morgan were to come into the fastener business. I had tried in the past to have him test the waters, and he wasn't very receptive. But as I told him, it's not a lot of heavy lifting. It's all you have to do is follow up on your quotes, be good to your principals and be good to your distributors, and get up every morning and make your sales calls, and you can do okay. So I impressed this on him on the trip out to Cleveland from Boston, and finally says, yeah, okay, Dad, I'll give it a shot. So I said, well, as long as you can do that, why don't you open up the glove compartment? And he opened it up, and I said, see those business cards there? They've got your name on it under Rick Rudolph Associates. So welcome aboard. Shook his hand, and he just looked at me and said, Dad, how could you do this to me?
That's great. I love that. Well, you were sure of your own persuasive abilities, and I'll never forget sitting with you two at the restaurant there that night, and I introduced myself because most of the folks at the table there I'd met before, and I said, how you doing? And he says, I am, Morgan. And I said, well, how long you been in the business? He said, about 4 hours at this point. But we've seen him at a lot of events subsequent to that, so
yes,
good for you, Rick. Got to be good to bring in your son into the business, and isn't that the way that it works so often in this industry?
It does. There are so many family-run businesses, and they're the ones that seem to last the longest. They also, seem to be the best-run ones. And, he's my son, and I know I can trust him to get out and give his pound of flesh every day, and it's in his best interest. As I told him, for a commission 1099 independent sales rep, if you want a raise, you sell more. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
If you want more toys, sell more.
There you go. Well, we've been operating on that principle for a long time, so I think we can identify with it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that story, Rick. We've been talking with Rick Rudolph of Rick Rudolph and Associates. He's operating out there in the Northeast, and that's the kind of story that we love to hear on this podcast, and I guess it says a lot, so we can take a lot of lessons away from it.
Well, thank you.
Remind me not to go for a ride in a car with you, okay?
Well, I said, boy, this was fun. Hey, there's, the Midwest Fastener Show's coming up in Chicago. How about if we drive out there? And he said, yeah, why don't you do that and pick me up at the airport, pick me up at O'Hare. So I guess he didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
No, he was terrified you had another offer waiting for him.
And one of the best parts of that story is that the term Captain Morgan, or the name Captain Morgan, is so fitting in this case.
Oh, it is. Yeah, he takes quite a bit of ribbing from it.
It's just so perfect. A lot of things fall into place, ladies and gentlemen, and here's another story of how that happens. So, well, we've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a long time. I hope you'll keep us advised. We need to do a better job of everything up there, and we've got some friends in the industry in the Northeast, so don't make a stranger of yourself, Rick.
I won't, Eric, and it's always, as I say, it's always good to meet with you and Brian. It's too bad we can't share a pint or two today, but you can do it on your own, individually here.
Yeah, right. That'll work.
We won't let you down.
I know you won't, Eric.
Rick Rudolph here on Fully Threaded Radio.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in moments here on Fully Threaded Radio.
Once you're in this industry, you're not getting out. Good thing there's Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
Fastener friends, if you're looking to celebrate a big sale, or if you just want to unwind after a tough day on the job, do it with the golden brown goodness of Old Rusty Bolt beer. It is the finest tasting beer in the fastener world because Old Rusty Bolt beer is brewed specifically to satisfy the palates of fastener folks everywhere. That name again, Old Rusty Bolt beer. An Old Rusty Bolt added to every bottle to enhance flavoring. Get some today. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and Yahoo and Bolt Company, official fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt, the preferred beer of traveling salesmen. Tell them Rusty sent you.
Cardinal Fastener is your source for high-quality made-in-the-USA bolts, from 3/8 inch up to 4.5 inch diameter. We can forge a wide variety of materials, including carbon steels, alloys, high-nickel alloys, and stainless. And our in-house tooling center, heat treat equipment, and A2LA quality labs give us total control over every part we produce for faster lead times and superior quality. Call 844-CNL-BOLT for a fast, competitive quote. And remember, if it's critical, it's Cardinal.
Hi everyone, it's Brian Musker. If you're listening to Fully Threaded, then you're no doubt aware of the FCH sourcing network found at fastenersclearinghouse.com. You've probably also heard about our legendary scrubber software that makes listing your inventory on FCH a snap. But have you heard about the new FCH SmartLink interface? With SmartLink, users of Business Edge, InSQL, and Distribution One have a new weapon in the war against excess inventory, because each of these platforms now links directly to the FCH Scrubber system through an automated interface. The best part is that this new tool is available at no additional charge to FCH members who use Business Edge, InSQL, or Distribution One. With SmartLink, you can keep your inventory listings up to date with the click of a button, so it's a win-win for all FCH users. The new FCH FastLink interface is really big news, and we'll be thrilled to have your company using it. Business Edge, InSQL, and Distribution One users should contact their software provider for details, or just call me, Brian Musker. You can reach me through the FCH website at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with an S, and the S is for scrubber.
I know my customers' yearly usage, but I don't have the warehouse space to store it.
Solution Man can. Submit a blanket order, and I'll not only set up release dates, I'll offer you bulk pricing too. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionInd.com.
You're my fastener superhero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
This is Rosa, the preferred riveter at Brighton Bass International. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio with Eric and Brian.
Yeah, hi folks, you're back again with Fully Threaded Radio. This is Eric's party bungalow. It'll be my programming dungeon, okay, but it's still one and the same thing.
A little behind-the-scenes glimpse, folks.
Yeah.
I guess with that, Bri, we should mention that we are the people who bring you the FCH Sourcing Network. That's a great online resource for you if you're looking for a fastener, hard to find, fill in, a new vendor, whatever it might be. Boy, the network is really thriving even amid this kind of questionable market, don't you think, Bri?
Well, there's an interesting variety of stuff coming through. I mean, there have been times in our history when there's been more activity, but, you know, you call it flourishing FDI numbers. I don't think they're quite flourishing. They're not negative, though, which is sort of important.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ups and downs there and a lot of questions. We're going to hear a little bit about that. The Fastener News Report's coming up momentarily, everybody.
Yeah.
And we're going to hear about that. We don't want to really let the cat out of the bag at this point. But I guess really what I was saying was that the quality and the volume of requests that are going through the network are really solid. And we haven't seen a dip. Of course, we're shooting at a moving target because the network and the awareness and everything keeps growing month by month. So it's not necessarily floating at the same level that a lot of guys who have been in business forever are seeing.
No. And we see a different cross section because, you know, we probably see half of OEMs and half distributors working every day on our site. Probably that's not a general mix for any given distributor.
Right. But one way or another, everybody gets what they need, and that's what the network is all about. If you haven't gotten out there, folks, the website is www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with an S. And what's the S for this time, Bri?
It's still the scrubber, okay, I think.
All right. The scrubber is our great software, which has been developed over the course of 10 years, which categorizes, indexes, makes sense out of all the uploads that people send us, of which there have been millions over the years, but currently there's about, 1.3 million live at this point?
Right. Yeah, the scrubber to go back in history slightly, we won't go through here too much, came about based on a suggestion in an email from a guy called Kevin Higgins up at Quality Component Supply, who gave us the very enlightening thought that if we didn't know how to translate all these spreadsheets of horrific descriptions, then we needed to find another job, which was a really rather an awakening comment, because I had written him an email saying, well, I've got this spreadsheet here, but the descriptions aren't very good. Can you tell me what a SMS is?
Right. Well, you're really getting out into the tall grass at that point, Brian.
This is true.
That is getting really into a little bit of history, and it's true. But you went to work, and welcome to the dungeon. But it's been very gratifying. So, folks, if you haven't gotten out there, it's a free resource for you with over 1.3 million line items. www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. If you're looking to move inventory, on the flip side of that coin, please do contact us. You can find our contact info through the website, and it's a cool thing for the fastener industry. As I mentioned, the Fastener News Report's coming up momentarily. I did see a piece here, though, that I noticed that Mike did include this time around. This one comes from globalfastenernews.com, has to do with one of our great sponsors, longtime friends. It's from the Worth Group, and the headline was, Worth Group hires 70,000th employee.
Wow.
Yeah. You see this one?
I did not see that. See, you're ahead of me in this. That's a lot of people, actually.
Yeah. Well, they're, I guess, the world's largest fastener distributor, in contrast to what I mentioned a few episodes back, but they certainly appear to be. Part of the story says, in June, Worth hired its 70,000th employee. Salesperson Itziar Abal will help Worth with customers in the automotive division in northern Spain. So that was kind of an interesting thing. Later in the story, it says, for 2016, Worth forecasts a sales increase to roughly 11.9 billion. That's in euros. I know the dollar's pretty strong right now, but that's still a pretty good jump if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. That's fairly decent turnover too, even now that the dollar exchange rate's improved.
Right. We get a lot of news, of course, from North American acquisitions and mergers and things like that. We don't hear a lot about European. I wonder how much of that is attributable to those types of activities overseas as well. But one way or another, Worth is just jamming along, and congratulations to them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast and Lindstrom. We've got a group of great sponsors beyond that, and I'm sure you know who they are, folks. Let them know you heard it on Fully Threaded Radio. We sure do appreciate that, and we appreciate you listening into the podcast. We try to do a good job for you.
And remember, just these podcasts are available. Most of the software now will download them sort of automatically. So you just turn your phone up and flick to the podcast app you have. In the world of iPhones, there's a number of them. You do not have to use the one that Apple supplies. There are a number of others that are quite a lot better than that. Okay. And all of them will allow you to sit and listen and turn it on and start it up again where you left off, all sorts of things like that.
It's on-demand Fastener Talk Radio, everybody.
Yeah.
And now, with news about screws that you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. As usual, I am reporting live from Northeast Ohio, and even though the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA championship and the Cleveland Indians are still in first place, and the GOP convention is raging just up the highway, I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In today's report, we're going to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story from Nelson Fastener System and loads of newsmaker headlines from famous fastener firms, including Juergens, B&G Supply, Lindstrom, EFC, Sigma Fasteners, Nordlock, Bolhoff, Great Lakes Fasteners, Semblix, and Smalley Steel Ring. On the back page, we're going to talk about the European Union. We'll get to all of that and last month's FDI results right after this.
Whether you need a small or large number of fasteners, there is no reason why you should have to sacrifice quality or service for that matter. Volt Industrial Plastics takes great care with each and every order to ensure you receive a quality fastener in a timely and affordable manner. Our state-of-the-art production equipment allows us to produce any quantity you request quickly and efficiently. And with same-day shipping on nearly 1 million in-stock fasteners, we carry an inventory so you don't have to. Visit us online at voltplastics.com to find out more about our quality American-made products. Volt Industrial Plastics, manufacturer of the finest plastic fasteners in the world.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
I don't have time to look for the best price for a socket head cap screw zinc plated with a patch.
Solution Man can. Let me handle all of your secondary processes, and I'll even ship the finished product. One price, one purchase order, one invoice, and one shipment equals one solution. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my primary source for secondary processes.
Good one.
Mike McNulty.
In June, the FDI moved up to a seasonally adjusted number of 50.6, another solid gain over last month's result of 50.1. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by BB&T Capital Markets, the FCH Sourcing Network, and the National Fastener Distributors Association. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, Charles Redding, Senior Analyst at BB&T Capital Markets, joined us. Hi, Charles. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
So the FDI moves up for the fourth straight month and stays above the 50-point mark for 2 months in a row. What's your take on these results?
Yes, we would characterize the June results as modestly encouraging. We did get a sequentially stronger read, the 50.6 on a seasonally adjusted basis. This was just a second plus 50 read, really since December of last year, just a second since last December. This said, the index did benefit from a modest uptick in hiring, along with some seasonal adjustment. Deliveries, inventories, as well, also unchanged effectively. If you strip the noise out, we think the underlying data is still pretty cautious here, Mike. Certainly we continue to await more material move to the upside just in terms of fundamental sales growth among respondents, which we really think drives our distributors under coverage to a large degree. And without question, the anecdotal notes that we continue to receive here from the field remain biased to the downside from what we can tell, just in terms of overall growth conditions and overall 6-month outlook. Really over half still expect no change or worse conditions here 6 months out.
Yeah, I saw that only 48% expect it to be higher in, I guess, in January of 17.
That's right.
Now, also we had some of the comments, people put in their own comments, and I would consider them or categorize them as softly positive. They were, one comment was, overall the year is up, but June was down 7%. Another one said May's results are at an all-time sales record. And another said, even though June will be better, we will be above plan. And finally, some small positive things in the marketplace, commodity prices moving up slightly, which is helpful. So those were
certainly we're seeing some variance of data. If you just think about the macro perspective, to us anyhow, the most compelling recent anecdotes as it pertains to fastener distribution, I would say, would be from Fastenal. Last week, that company not only called out the weaker results among their top 100 customers, but also cited renewed customer shutdowns, which the company does believe could extend into Q3. I can tell you the daily sales for June were flat, as well as manufacturing, which was off 2% for the month. We'd also call out MSC, which posted a June decline of 4.6% for June, which was actually after the quarter end for them. Certainly we've seen the core weakness in metalworking. The MBI index for them has been lower in each of the past 3 months. And we think Canada likely remains mixed for most providers here, just given the noise that we've received out of Fort McMurray, certainly with the recent wildfires.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Two of the real big guys had bad months, but the FDI is in the positive or in the expanding area.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there is noise here, but again, I think if you just look at kind of the core results, again, stripping out the seasonal impact that we mentioned, and again, the index did get a little bit of an uptick from the movement in employment, which I think makes some sense given the strong month that we had in terms of jobs for June. But if you look at June industrial production, and that was up 60 bips, just the fifth sequential improvement over the 19 months. We're still off year over year here. I know the PMI is obviously over 50, which is, again, encouraging on the surface, but I think some would argue that the PMI certainly no longer holds the same correlation for select manufacturers, perhaps as it once did. I suppose this is up for debate. And certainly we know about the stronger dollar, right? So it continues to have a pretty material impact on overall export demand for a number of distributors here. Dollars leveled off versus the loonie here in recent weeks. It's about $1.30, albeit off from the $1.45 high in late January.
All right. Well, I mean, but in overall, the cautiously optimistic is still pretty decent area to be in.
I would say so. Certainly can detail additional end markets if your listeners have interest here.
Yeah, go ahead. And also, I think you're expecting some results, I think, from Grainger coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, sure. So we'll get Grainger results on Tuesday. Just in terms of the end markets that we've heard, certainly continue to hear that the pressure is broad-based just from a geographic perspective. Certainly anything tied to oil and gas is light. We have seen some nice positive movement in crude, obviously headline crude versus the February lows of sub-30. This said, it's still really too early for us to have seen material moving of the needle here, so to speak, for most of our distributors as it relates to upstream production. Among durable goods, we did see some recovery in auto manufacturing in June, which was modestly encouraging, just given the steep declines in May. Again, with Grainger, we'll see kind of where they come in. Last month, we were still looking at pretty material declines, high teens, if you will, in natural resources, mid-single digits in heavy manufacturing, which could even be more relevant given that that's 20% of the company's U.S. business. And then finally, I guess to the extent that you have exposure to domestic construction, we continue to think construction fares relatively better. Construction and perhaps some flight to quality continues to benefit our waste names under coverage, obviously. Single-family starts were up another 10% last month. We'll get the June print this week. Have seen some recent flooding, some noise from recent flooding here, but long-term we still feel like construction continues to roll along pretty nicely. We like where overall demand here is in terms of residential and non-residential activity kind of as 2016 plays out.
Okay, well, that's a lot of information to absorb. I've got a couple anecdotes to finish up with here. In June, the MWFA and the NFDA both had successful events that got good feedback that we received on people that attended that, and we're working on our August issue, which is always our big summer issue that has company profiles in it. And we've already passed the advertising results that we did last year. We've already passed that with a couple weeks left to sell. So I don't know, things are seem to be going okay on our anecdotal side in the fastener industry.
Okay, great.
So that's some little tidbits to put in with all the actual publicly reported data and the macro data. And I'm glad that we're still above 50, and we'll see if we can do it 3 months in a row next time we talk.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're welcome. Charles, thanks for joining us today on the Fastener News Report. That was Charles Redding of BB&T Capital Markets, and the FDI number for June was 50.6. To participate in the process of submitting data and comments, visit www.fdisurvey.com. Now for today's top story. Nelson Fastener Systems, based in Elyria, Ohio, has been formed, creating a rebranded business unit that consists of 6 manufacturing entities, including Nelson Stud Welding, Very Cap and Set Screw, Specialty Bar Products, EBC Industries, Automatic SMP, and Spiegelberg Manufacturing. These units were formerly part of Doncaster's fastener systems, and they offer fastener manufacturing technologies including hot and cold forging, precision machining, screw machining, heat treatment, thread rolling, and secondary operations. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In personnel news, Cindy Lakowski, Dave Strobelt, Stan Andrews, and Brenda Kerr have all joined the JIS division of Juergens following JIS's recent acquisition of B&G Supply. Teresa Ammon is the new supply chain director at EFC International. Sarah Vasicek has been hired as Advanced Components' new regional sales manager for the Midwest and Northeast regions of the United States. Interstraight Threaded Products has strengthened its sales team with the return of Shelby Hamrick and the addition of Lee Lowry and Holly Vandiver. Align Aerospace has appointed Mark Invernizzi as general manager for Europe. Tim Martin has taken on the role of head of aerospace sales at Doncaster Group. And Judy and Jerry Jandal are retiring from Sigma Fasteners. In acquisitions, investments, and in expansions, Nordlock Group of Sweden has acquired 100% of the Expander Group from owner Roger Svensson. Bullhoff USA is investing nearly $1 million in automotive fastener making machinery. The Hillman Group has entered into an alliance with Testrite International of Asia. Applied Industrial Technologies has acquired Seals Unlimited. Beck Fastener Group has acquired ET&F Fastening Systems. And ZF has completed the sale of its global engineered fasteners and components business to ITW, while Bolton is adding a new fastener plating line in Poland, and Great Lakes Fasteners has continued its expansion into Mexico by adding LA reps as a new partner. In ceremonies and award news, Acumen Global Technologies announced the winners of its Torx Drive Systems World-Class Quality Awards, including Camcar, Continental Midland, ITW Shakeproof, Lita Fasteners, Semblex, Stanley, and Unisteel. HD Supply broke ground on a new leadership center. Lisi Aerospace conducted the inauguration of a new factory in France. KMX held a groundbreaking ceremony for additions to its manufacturing and heat treatment buildings, and EJOT broke ground for a new production hall in Poland. In product line news, Smalley Steel Ring Company expanded its series of wave springs. S launched a line of blind rivets. Triangle Fastener Corporation announced a new line of corrosion-resistant head screws. Premium Products introduced a new chrome-free zinc plate coating system, and Lindstrom introduced a new line of external and internal retaining rings, as well as its plans for stocking new inch screws in mid-August. To get details on the Lindstrom plans, we talked to Dick Ripley, VP of Sales.
Just reminding all you savvy buyers out there that Lindstrom is much more than your go-to metric source, as we're now carrying standard inch fasteners and adding new inch product lines every quarter. Recent product additions include inch retaining rings, and by mid-August, we'll have inch thread cutting, thread forming screws in stock as well. Included with every order is our extraordinary customer service, and of course, every order can be packed and plated to your end user's requirements. Lindstrom by any measure.
That was Dick Ripley, Vice President of Sales at Lindstrom. Finally, let's turn to the back page and talk about the European Union. The recent vote in the UK on the future of the British membership in the European Union has yielded a firestorm of emotions, opinions, and forecasts broadcasted on social and mainstream media channels. As this unfolded, I wondered how many people first spent time looking into the actual history of the EU before beginning to pontificate and lecture. So here are some facts to consider. The European Union is officially only 23 years old, not even half as old as me. The EU is a man-made treaty-based union of 26 members, not an actual country with its own culture and history. EU passport controls have been abolished between most member states. The EU established its own currency in 1999, which came into use just 14 years ago. The EU introduced its own constitution in 2004, which was eventually rejected by some member states, abandoned, and finally replaced with a new treaty in 2007, which gave all member states the legal right to leave or rejoin the EU. The EU is run by multiple government institutions employing thousands of workers in councils, parliaments, commissions, courts, and banks. And now for my own opinion of the EU. In 2002, on the eve of a business trip to Europe, I wrote that the EU itself presents a conflict, as it would tend to hold back any individual country from getting too strong, and together The job of consensus building among EU members is too overwhelming for it to be really productive in the global economy. A decade and a half later, experience and observations tell me that the EU is a giant overreach effort trying to create an economic and political utopia that is full of corruption, waste, and tyranny. Personally, I love many things about the unique cultures and strengths of many EU countries, and I even miss old currencies like the Deutschmark, French franc, and Italian lira. The European Union may have started out with good intentions, but I don't blame any country for jumping off the bandwagon before it goes over a cliff, even if it is painful to do so in the near term. Good cultures should be preserved, and fruitful and honest trade and political deals can be made between any sovereign countries of goodwill without the creation of more levels of bureaucracy. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Remember to send your news, pictures, comments, or corrections to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Stick around, because Kelly Cole of Hayes Bolt and the NFDA is straight ahead on Fully Threaded.
You probably know that Lindstrom is an industry leader in metric fasteners. And there's a good chance you know we recently expanded to provide a wide range of high-grade inch fasteners. But what you probably don't know is that Lindstrom has made a serious commitment to earn your socket business. How serious? Well, let's start with 11,000 products. Announcing Lindstrom's expanded line of socket products, including socket head cap screws, flat head socket cap screws, button head socket cap screws, socket shoulder screws, and more. Plain, plated, or patched, in a full range of inch and metric sizes. Special lengths and thread pitches available through in-house fabrication. Always packed to your specification. Lindstrom. Flexibility, choice, and value at every turn. Here for everything distributors need. To learn more about Lindstrom and our expanded line of socket products, visit lindstromsockets.com. Lindstrom, by any measure. To speak with a sales representative, call 1-800-328-2430.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations, from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries, innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
Hey everybody, this is Carmen Vertullo with your Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from Carver Engineering and Manufacturing, the Carver Fact Center here in San Diego, and the Fastener Training Institute. One of the questions that I often receive from my clients and others is, how do I fill a position in my quality department? Sometimes they don't even have a quality department yet, but they need to get a quality manager or an inspector up to speed in the fastener industry. It's a difficult and challenging problem, and there are some answers, and when we return, I'll help you out with that.
Thanks, Carmen. This is Joe Morris with the Fastener Training Institute.
Summer is in full swing, and it is a great time to expand your industry knowledge and continue your path for fastener education. If you're traveling this summer on vacation, you can still take advantage of some great summer courses. Our webinars can be viewed anywhere in the world from any media device with high-speed internet connection. Our summer schedule includes 2 webinars led by instructor Carmen Vertullo. Understanding tightening strategies, there's more to tight than torque, on July 22nd, and Understanding Fastener Testing Terminology on August 12th. We are also really excited to announce that longtime FTI instructor Lawrence Klaus will be joining the webinar team to teach a 2-part webinar series on PPAPs. This is a topic in high demand, so mark your calendars for August 3rd. This will be part 1 of PPAPs. Have you ever wanted to become a certified fastener specialist? What's the holdup? Join us in Chicago, August 22nd through the 26th for Fastener Training Week. Upon completion of the week-long course and passing the final exam, you too can hold the esteemed title of CFS. This class is going to fill up quick, so please don't wait to register. You can enroll online at www.fastenertraining.org or email myself or Nancy Rich with the Midwest Fastener Association. And if you can't make Chicago, please catch us next time. We offer this class several times per year throughout the country. If tuition fees are holding you up, please contact me for grant and scholarship opportunities. The Fastener Training Institute literally has classes for every level of fastener education and great resources to help students obtain this education. If you're not receiving our newsletters or our e-blasts regarding upcoming events, send me a note. My email address is jom@fastenertraining.com or visit our website. Once again, it is www.fastenertraining.org. Now, back to Carmen for our Fastener Training Minute.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Oftentimes when a supplier of fasteners needs to fill a position in their quality department, they look around the company and hopefully they can find someone from the inside to fill that position. But typically, people who grow up in the fastener business don't have the quality professional background that they need to be able to communicate with your customers and your vendors. There's nothing worse to happen in your company than when you have a rejection or a problem and your client, your customer has come to you with their quality professional, their ISO 9001-2015 or AS system, and they're talking all this quality lingo and you can't talk back with them. You can't speak the language. You've kind of run into the quality management system dragon. So you decide we need a quality professional. How do we find this person? Well, I have 2 solutions, well, 3, depending upon how much money you want to spend. The first solution, of course, is to look from within your company. Who in your company has a technical aptitude to be able to fill the position, whether it's an inspector type position or a quality management position? Once you find that person, the important thing is, because they probably have a fastener background, but the important thing is to get them trained in the discipline of quality management. And you can do that in 2 ways. One way is you can hire somebody like me to help you get them up to speed in that area. Another way is get them associated with ASQ, the American Society for Quality. And that will help them as a member to have access to the information and training that they need to become a quality professional. There are, of course, quality engineers. You can spend a lot of money and find a quality engineer, but chances are that person is not going to have a fastener background. So another way, if you find that type of person, you want to bring them on board to get them up to speed quickly with fasteners, is to hire somebody like me to spend a few hours or a few days, whatever it takes to get them acquainted with that. So don't despair. It is difficult to fill a position. You can look at it from 2 perspectives. Find somebody from the outside that has a quality background in terms of profession and bring them up to speed with fasteners, or find somebody within your own company or in the fastener industry that has the fastener background and then bring them up to speed in the quality discipline. I can help you with either of those. I have an article on my website at carverem.com or carverfact.com. Either one of those will get you to us. And you can find out my perspective on how to bring on a professional quality person into your fastener supply organization. Thanks for listening. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute.
This is Aaron Shushan from Specialty Sales, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you, fully threaded.
Yep.
Well, Brian, the new Link magazine came out, summer issue. Get a chance to see that one?
I have scanned through it, yes.
Well, then you no doubt saw Carmen Vertullo's new hydrogen embrittlement piece, page 26.
Yes, I did, and I knew who else would have been reading it very carefully.
That's right. I was really glad to see that one. Get out there and take a look at the new Link, everybody. A lot of event coverage in this particular issue. A lot of things happened in the spring and early summer, of course, as usual. Good coverage in Link. And one of the things we wanted to touch on, of course, was the recent NFDA meeting. They were down there in late June in Louisville, Kentucky. And here to help us understand what went on, give us the recap, is NFDA board member from Hayes. It's Kelly Cole. Hey, Kelly, you out there?
Hi, guys. How are we doing?
Doing good, thanks.
Very good.
So thanks for joining us on the podcast. It's been a while since we've talked to you. And why don't you give us the rundown? What all went on? What transpired at this year's ESPS sessions? They're always something that really gets rave reviews.
They are, and there were just a tremendous turnout for NFDA this year. We had over 140 participants, members, non-members. So the NFDA is doing very, very well, and we as always encourage more distributors to join NFDA. There's just a tremendous amount of value that you can receive from being a member. As one example, the ESPS is a meeting place for you to meet with 8 to 10 suppliers in a given format in a private setting, 30 minutes directly with a supplier, very strategic in nature and very well organized by the NFDA. I myself was able to meet with 10 suppliers whom normally you would not. You'd have to travel all over the country to go see. Mm-hmm. So it's a very positive thing and very well received, and a lot of people get a lot of great value from that.
And we've talked about it like fastener speed dating in the past.
Yeah.
yeah, kind of. You do get a lot done, and it's a relatively long day for the suppliers that are there, but we're very well organized. People make appointments with whom they want. I think there were about 40 companies represented for ESPS, and their days fill up very quickly. So it is a great a way to see customers and make vendor contacts.
Okay.
Now, Kelly, during this meeting, there was also the rotation of NFDA officers, correct? And, of course, you're on the board now. New president is our friend and yours, Mark Strandquist from the Worth Group. Isn't that right?
Correct. Casey McElhon is now our immediate past president, so we're going to get to see Casey for another year, and he brought a lot of value as the president, and Mark's going to do a great job as the new leader of the association. So looking forward to participating on a lot of different committees with those guys.
Now, the NFDA is instrumental in helping us with the Fastener Distributor Index. That's the FDI. And I did want to take your temperature on what you're seeing out there in the industry these days. And we can talk some more about the NFDA. But did you see the numbers for June? We had a slight uptick. We're in a third month of expansion. What's your impression of that? And did you hear kind of similar sentiments when you were there at the meeting?
It was a little bit more downplayed, although we had a speaker from the Taiwan Fastener group to do a presentation. There has been a slowdown overseas. There's some capacity issues in China that are driving, keeping steel prices below average, which is keeping things, in a negative coming out of Asia. And we've seen a slowdown in this second quarter of 16 in general distribution. I think that's the sentiment amongst most people, but we're all encouraged by Alan Bullio and the Bullio brothers with ITR was there to reflect a growing economy as well as what their projections are for growth between now and 2020. And those are encouraging. So, we're all hoping for a little bit more robust growth.
Yeah.
But we see it has been kind of anemic, but there are encouraging signs that we're continuing to uptick.
Yeah, well, let me stop you for a second. Can you explain what you said about the Asian steel prices? Because it seems like just a few weeks ago, we were all up in arms because steel prices were inflating. And now this is something a little bit different, seems contradictory.
Well, they are increasing, but there's been a capacity, an overcapacity in China, which has been cut back a little bit. So that's why you're seeing a little bit of an uptick, but they're expecting this capacity to increase through 2017, and that's going to keep prices suppressed. And, I'm sure there's other opinions out there. I'm just sharing an opinion that was given to me. I haven't really analyzed it too heavily, but the slight uptick is from this change of, there's some plant capacity that diminished, and so you see a little uptick. But the consensus that I've been reading is that through 2017, that capacity will continue to increase, which will continue to drive prices or keep them lower.
Wow. Okay. I have to admit I'm a little bit confused by it, but we'll just stay tuned and hang on for the ride. Okay. Well, let's leave it at that. Alan and Brian Bulio, I swear to God, I've heard like 17 different pronunciations of their last name, but they of course are with ITR, and they've been a long time analysts that appear at NFDA meetings and some of the other associations, and boy, they give a really, really great presentation every time they appear, don't they?
They sure do. Yeah, I've seen them at least annually, at least once a year since 2004, and I don't think I've ever caught them off guard by being off, except for maybe when the housing bubble. They didn't think there was going to be a housing bubble back in 2008, but they admitted that they missed it.
Right. A lot of people did too.
Yeah, a lot of people missed it.
The banks. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, what was your pronunciation of their last name, Brian? You seem pretty sure you had it right, but I don't think it was Bulio. What? How did you say it?
Bewley. It's one of the English aristocracy names, Lord Bewley.
I've never heard him introduced that way.
Yeah, well,
interesting.
It's left over from the time when William the Conqueror ended up, turning England into French.
Battle of Hastings, 1066.
Right. Well, Bewley was one of the families that came over with him to fight.
Finally got to use that little piece of historical trivia somewhere useful.
Yeah. Well, of course, just because they pronounce it that way in England doesn't mean it's how they pronounce it here.
Well, an interesting footnote, I suppose. What else was kind of the theme of this year's NFDA meeting down there in Louisville, Kelly?
Well, ESPS takes front and center stage. We had a great evening at the Muhammad Ali Center, and it was very timely given that his recent passing. But
yeah.
What a beautiful center! It's just it's an amazing a place to visit. So I'd give everyone if you have the opportunity to get into Louisville, to definitely check out that Muhammad Ali Center. It's just a really great tribute to a guy who dedicated his life to charitable organizations and time. So,
yeah, I've heard good things about that. NFDA always picks world-class destinations. So if you're a member or an attendee of one of those meetings, you never have to worry about that. Let me ask you this. A while back, there was quite a hullabaloo over whether or not the NFDA would be allowing reps to participate in meetings or even possibly joining. How did that all shake out? What's the current situation on that subject?
I'm a little unsure as to right now. That still is the feeling for NFDA is not to allow reps, but I'm not familiar with any discussions about changing those policies as of now.
Okay, that might have been a little before you got onto the board. It was kind of a hot issue there for a while. And one of the reasons I ask is because I saw out there on Traveling Salesman's blog, rumor has it that in his true identity, he is a rep, and he was able to attend, and he had a pretty favorable review of the meeting. So that might be coming up into play again. Not sure.
Yeah, I did notice a few people in attendance as, with their principals in the last meeting. So there may be some relaxation happening with that policy.
Perhaps they have to wear disguise, a heavy disguise.
Kelly, what else is on tap for the NFDA? What's on the agenda for the coming year with the new officers? I'm sure we'll talk with Mark Strandquist about that at some point, but can you give us a preview?
Well, to continue on with the AIM program, it's a mentorship program that was kicked off last year. We've got some new members in that, so looking forward to participating there. I think it's just a wonderful idea to get younger people involved. It's using the young fastener professionals as well, to get the leadership in the organizations to be mentoring another private company person who needs that somebody you see in your organization long term that you want to have that mentoring program with to help them round about their strategy and help them, square themselves away in areas where they may be lacking some disciplines or something. But I think it's a great way to help the youth. Some of the other things upcoming, we've got our next executive summit in beautiful Scottsdale at the Four Seasons. So we're looking forward to that in November. So we encourage everyone to come on out for that. And then we've got we're having our spring event with the Pac West out in California, Long Beach, where there'll be a tabletop. So we're really excited about partnering up with Pac West again. We've had some significant events with them in partnering. So we encourage everyone to come out west in the spring.
Well, I hope Vicki Lester managed to get some preferential pricing for that Four Seasons event, man, because I don't know if we'd be able to swing that one at published rates.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
She always does a great job, so I'm sure that's the case. Well,
right.
Cool. Folks want to learn more about what's going on at the NFDA. That's nfda-fastener.org.
Yep.
And the previously mentioned AIM program, I believe, is happening in conjunction with the Young Fastener Professionals Group. So they'll also have information out at their website, right?
Yes.
Very cool. So you personally, you're involved in a lot of things in this fastener industry, have been for a long time. I know you were heavily involved with the Pac West and with the Fastener Training Institute. You were instrumental in pushing that effort along. And these days, there's a new entity that's related to fastener education, right? It's the Fastener Education Foundation. What's that all about, Kelly?
Well, over the years, and with being with Pac West and recognizing the training that we had in the West was something that could be launched on its own private enterprise, we created the Fastener Training Institute. And in an effort to nationalize that platform, we've reached out and begun to do a lot of training over the last 5 years with FTI across the nation. So it's becoming the platform for people to get basic training and then advanced training at different levels. So we have day-long programs, webinars, and week-long programs, and these are traveling all over the country. But due to that expense, we're trying to raise more money without raising fees in order to create the online content, which will bring fastener training to organizations all around the country and the world, for that matter, at a much more reduced cost. And that's our objective. And not to minimize the week-long training courses by all means, but to enhance the ability for more people to be having it less restrictive to sending someone out of your organization for a full day or once a month for that training. It can be a burden on a lot of businesses in this industry. So what we recognized is that we needed a fundraising apparatus. So what we did as a group of us started a foundation. And there's a lot of support behind it from Rob Harris with IFI, and a lot of the IFI manufacturers all recognize that there's a void in not just fastener training like from FTI, but just overall training as a whole at all levels of the fastener industry. So whether you're a distributor and needing training in sales or acute quality system, but also at manufacturing level. So Fastener Education Foundation is not suited to just one genre of our industry, like FTI being more for distributor organizations or manufacturers, but at all levels of the spectrum of our industry. So we're able to raise large sums of money from the full gamut of our industry and support people with grants and scholarships for anything that would help them move or advance their career or their employees' career to help their business. It's a 501c3. It's a foundation. It's 100% deductible, and so a lot of organizations that have already given to us and have supported us are distributor members, manufacturers, reps, and the full gamut of all the participants in our industry are providing these donations. And fortunately, we've been able to get our coffers full enough to where we were able to fund sizable funding to FTI to help further their agenda to post their webinars live, build and develop their online content, which is it's a tremendous undertaking. John Walkman and crew have a tremendous job ahead of them to take all this 20 years of training components, if you will, but the training pieces, and put them into a content, and then transitioning that to an online is a big adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's so many, like scrap paper type training programs out there. I don't mean to sound negative toward other training that we've seen, but it's difficult to keep that kind of content together in a reasonable format. So the expense of doing that, and just like designing a website, it takes time to do it.
Right.
It takes money.
Yeah.
So we're encouraged. There's been a lot of great donations, and we're looking for a lot more. The generosity of people at the NFDA helped us raise another $11,000 at the NFDA meeting. So very pleased about that, and just successful all the way around.
Good. Well, we're very much in favour of anything that has to do with education in the industry, because it's such a critical thing for the advancement of the industry.
Yeah, and I have to say it this way. It's easy to underestimate what a huge undertaking it is to transfer conventional type training off to a webinar or other electronic device. And so that's a great thing. I have to say this, though, because we're all in business, there is an altruistic aspect to what it is that you're doing. And I think we should just say it that way, because really what you're doing is for the advancement of the industry as a whole. It's a worthy undertaking. And, there's a lot of industries where something like this just wouldn't be happening, but it is in the fastener industry. I think it says a lot about what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of great people involved. And that's why I've always encouraged people to, not think so short-sighted to, how they're keeping their people informed and they're in their own businesses, but, to help them be productive and to really want to pursue excellence in our industry and make it better.
So what do people do if they're interested in exploring this topic a little bit further?
Hey, you call me, call me at Hayes Bolt. It's here down here in sunny San Diego, or if you need to, just come out and see us in the wintertime.
There you go.
But you can also visit, most of the association websites have a Fastener Education Foundation link, which they can click on and get right to our website. But we are in development. We're trying to make ourselves known at every association level meeting. So we have a representative there. We added 2 new board members this past year. Phil Johnson is the sitting president of the FEF. I'm the vice president. Simi Sakuja is on the board as well as Andy Cohn with Duncan Bolt, Mike Lentini with Spiral, and then Greg Fitzgerald just joined our board too. So we're expanding our board to, bring more and more people, on board from all different genres of our industry, so that no one sector is overemphasized or overlooked.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned Rockstar Simi of Stelfast, because I remember when the foundation first came into being, she called me up and was very excited about that. And of course, it's support from great companies like that are making it happen. Well, that's great, Kelly. Hopefully we'll be able to help you get just a little bit more traction, but this is something that's happening in the industry, and It's doggone exciting. We're talking with Kelly Cole, he of Hayes Bolt and Supply out there in beautiful San Diego. You guys always love to rub that in, don't you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we know.
How long have you been with Hayes now, Kelly? It seems like, about a year, right? You were telling me?
Yeah, right at a year. Yeah, having a great time. Company's growing. We're doing very well, and we're excited about the future. And Southern California is, just roaring. So we're happy to say that things are going well.
So Hayes brought you in there to give things a boost. What are you focusing on these days, and what are you trying to do to achieve that?
Well, I think the first thing that you look at is you look at culture, and you look at how things are functioning, how helping people to reach their own full potential, and I think understanding the business as long as I've been in it, isn't the hard part. It's the people and where they want to go and how do we get there. So my focus has been on just coming in and picking up the pace and moving things in the right direction, and most of that is people based. So that's where I enjoy my time is helping everyone reach their full potential and at the same time, have some fun and sell some stuff.
Right. Sounds like the sort of thing we all try and do at some stage or some level.
Well, I know you're rolling your sleeves up because just the other day we had a conversation. Hayes Bolt is a user of Business Edge software. And of course, our FCH interface with Business Edge is being used by lots of distributors out there. And you were taking a look at that, getting to know it a little bit better. And now you and Terry Obarski are kind of double teaming, I guess, to make sure that you're taking full advantage of the inventory upload interface. Any observations on that so far?
No, I think it's encouraging the amount of activity that we see on it, and for us to be able to be intertwined with our other users out there is instrumental. And it's not only just helping us move inventory, but it's moving those slower moving or older parts that being in the OEM business. Our customers, we're not full line stocking distributors of any one product. We have a large breadth of product, and so you always end up with something left over. So it's just nice to have that portal so that people have visibility of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what the whole thing was started as. The whole thing we started it for, actually.
Right.
Well, we're all going to keep driving. You do what you do, we'll do what we do, and you put your chocolate in our peanut butter, everybody will be happy.
Yeah. I mean, the benefit is that the inventory that you load up is visible to, a lot of the distributors on a daily basis who are using their own software, be it Business Edge or in SQL software.
Right.
So
I think it's great.
Well, we're going to be talking a lot more about that in future shows, and I'm sure with you, Kelly Cole. I don't know when we'll run into each other next, but undoubtedly, as you are just about every year, you'll be out there in Vegas. A lot of big changes out there. Does Hayes, I know I see you guys out there, but do you exhibit typically out there in Vegas?
No, we don't. We have vendor meetings scheduled throughout the day and the evenings, and Vegas is Vegas, so it's pretty scattered out around this year with the hotels that are being utilized for everyone to get to the sand. So hopefully we'll be able to connect with everyone. And I think in years past, having people in Mandalay or something like that was a little more convenient for that, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, a lot of changes, that's for sure, this year.
Yeah, there are a lot of changes. We'll see what happens.
Well, one way or another, we're going to knock heads, I'm sure. Maybe we'll share a fine scotch or something. Who knows?
There we go. Absolutely.
And if people want to get a hold of you, Kelly Cole, they can do so through the website hayesbolt.com. And, of course, everybody knows how to get in touch with the NFDA where you're a director. That's nfda-fastener.org. Want to type that right, folks. Otherwise, you might wind up at the National Funeral Directors Association. Nobody wants that.
Right.
That's true.
It's really nearly as bad as typing Fasteners Clearinghouse without an S.
Oh, God. Don't do it, people. Kelly Cole, Hayes Bolt, NFDA, thanks for taking a few minutes to bring us up to speed, and we'll talk to you in the near future.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the time, guys. Appreciate it.
Fastener Talk Radio. It's like feng shui for the fastener industry. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. Our on-staff engineering department can assist you with product development and provide total technical support. Our knowledgeable sales team members offer superior customer service and are here to answer any questions you may have regarding our products. Having a hard time finding a part? Let our sourcing specialists do the work for you to locate those items. We offer competitive pricing with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
In this economy, I need to cut cost and freight, or I'll lose my customer.
Solution Man, Ken. The more you order, the more you'll save. With free freight on orders over $1,000. See the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
This is Russ Dorn with Timberline Fasteners. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Back with you, Fully Threaded Radio. Eric Dudas here with you, folks. Brian has left the building. He's on his way, big old jet airliner, down to New Zealand and Aussie to see some family and friends and take a little R&R. Of course, I think he'll still be processing uploads, which he's one of the hardest working guys you'll ever want to meet. So we'll have to make do without him, but he'll be working quietly in the background. Well, it was great to talk with Kelly Cole and hear all about what's going on at the NFDA and Hayes Bolt. He also, of course, mentioned quite a bit about the Fastener Training Institute and the foundation they've set up in support of that effort. I want to remind everybody to get your Fastener Training Week scholarship applications in. Information about that is available on the fastenersclearinghouse.com website. Go to the news page for that. You'll find a download, and we hope to see lots and lots of entries this year. Don't forget, even if you don't win the grand prize, you're still going to receive a voucher for one of the FTI webinars. They're very, very informative, well worth the time, and therefore there's no losers in this contest. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Kelly Cole and also Rick Rudolph of Rick Rudolph Associates, who talked with us at the top of the show. It was a lot of fun, guys. Also, BB&T analyst Charles Redding and Mike McNulty with Fastener Technology International on the Fastener News Report today. As always, Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Great job again. And I'll remind you that you're always welcome to communicate with us. The email address, ftr@fullythreaded.com. The Twitter handle is fullythreaded. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast. And Lindstrom, and the Lindstrom family of companies. Lindstrom, by any measure. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio, Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, ND Industries, The Worth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. We thank all our sponsors, and we thank each and every one of you for listening in. We couldn't do it without you. And we very much appreciate it when you share the podcast with your friends, your coworkers, and associates. I'm going to wind down the episode this time with a few thoughts that occurred to me as I was watching some of the coverage of the RNC that was going on this week here in the Cleveland area. Of course, I stayed out of downtown, didn't want to get caught up in the melee. Who knows in the heat of the moment what might have cropped up, and I don't need any of that these days. Maybe in my past life, but I did watch a little bit of the coverage on YouTube, and one thought that kept entering my mind as I was watching the coverage and then the subsequent headlines that were coming out of it was a phrase that I've heard several times recently on various talk shows. I think Dan Bongino was hosting a show, and I heard it for the first time, but then it cropped up here and there. And that phrase is, look at the squirrel. And that's a term that's used to describe how politicians and bureaucrats and in general, the political vocabulary is so often misdirected to keep us away from thinking about the important topics that are out there these days. And make no mistake, there are dead serious issues confronting us as a country. Did you happen to catch the headline that came out this week? I don't know if it was timed for this week to again distract us or what, but the national debt reached $19.4 trillion. So we're rapidly approaching $20 trillion. Of course, that's far in excess now of the annual GDP. 100% was always in the past thought to be some kind of a magical tipping point. Don't ask me why it didn't turn out to be that way, but boy, it sure does make me feel uneasy. And that's just one issue that we're really avoiding when we think about things like, oh, why did Ted Cruz not endorse Trump? Or why did Melania Trump appear to plagiarize parts of her address to the convention, which got so much coverage? And at the same time, so many critical issues that are facing the country got really little or no coverage. You know, we've pulled back on the podcast from making a lot of political commentary. It certainly isn't because we're not focused on those issues, or that we don't care about it, or that we've lost our heart in that direction. You know, I guess you could say that we've kind of come to the conclusion that we don't want to make it a focus of the podcast. It's probably not always the right platform for that. On the other hand, I'm constantly reminded of a great lecture that I once saw with the great late M. Scott Peck, in which he said, you can't talk about anything without talking about everything. So I realize that as this political season really heats up, there's going to be a great temptation for people to really get carried away in some of the fluff headlines that are out there at the expense of concentrating on what's really important. And what's really important, in my estimation, is an emphasis and a focus on true American virtues and ideals. And by that, those principles described in our Constitution. You know, I mentioned I was watching some of the ancillary coverage surrounding the RNC, and it's not hard to discover all kinds of interviews with young anarchists and communists and other people who really think they have solutions, apparently, and they're just tragically misguided people. They may be beyond hope. I'm not sure. And my message really, I guess, isn't for you if you're a person who's sold on the idea that the United States is the source of all evil on the planet. I mean, I just don't know what to tell you. I don't know where the middle ground is where we can have a dialogue. But if you're a person who actually does believe that the United States of America is the greatest republic in the history of the planet, it's the source of the most good and the greatest chance for anything having to do with freedom or prosperity that we as a human race hope to have, then I just want to remind you, take a look again at the Constitution, live it, understand it. If you don't understand the principles that make this country great, that we need to return to again, that we need to make a U-turn against the lawlessness that we're seeing right now, all through our political institutions and the political bureaucracy and the courts, then you're going to have a very hard time articulating arguments against these people or in support of what it's really going to take to turn things back, which is what we need to be doing. I want to make a suggestion to you. I've mentioned these books before on the podcast, and to me, these are the greatest sources really to educate yourself so that you'll have the intellectual ammunition you're going to need so that you can, with confidence, get out there and avoid looking at the squirrel, so to speak. The first one is a book called Liberty and Tyranny by Mark Levin, the well-known talk show host. And the second book is Ameritopia, also by Mark Levin. Go out to Amazon or wherever you buy your books, and or go to the library and take those books and educate yourself or reacquaint yourself. These books are easy to absorb. They're full of the founding philosophies, some of the background, but really practical arguments for why free enterprise and individual liberty is the answer to the problems that we face. And hopefully we can take some of these hooligans, these buffoons, these hapless waifs who we see waving red flags out there on the streets in Cleveland right now, and even turn a few of them. You know, they're going to eventually, some of them, have enough life experience where they see the error of their ways, but those that can be reached, let's help them along. We've got a lot of work to do as a country. And as people who recognize and understand these basic principles, we're the ones who are going to make a difference. It's certainly not going to be the media. It's not going to be academia. It's certainly not going to be the governmental bureaucracies and the entrenched bureaucrats up there. They've proven over and over and over at this point. They don't feel accountable, and they don't share our beliefs or our values, so it's up to us. So there's my soapbox moment for this episode, and I hope those of you still with me will let me know what you think of that. And I hope a couple of you will actually take my advice, and I think you'll find it very, very beneficial. So with that, I'm going to wrap up episode 107 of Fully Threaded Radio. Thanks for listening, if you still are. And if you are, I very much appreciate it. Brian does too. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, read up on the Constitution. Don't pay attention to the squirrels. And we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
Oops.